Hey, it's Aaron, Metal Theologian. So, that's funny, I kind of don't have a topic today, but I do have a topic. But I've told people, like, who have trouble making videos, some of the best ones come out when I just turn the camera on and start talking. And, so I'm trying to take my own advice right now. Anyway, so I kind of got clickbaited into something, actually. There's a channel called Metal School, which I know some of you all have watched. It's kind of a different kind of channel. It's not really a vinyl community channel, you know what I mean? It's more like a educational thing. So even though I'm generally pretty hostile to schools to channels called anything with school, you know? Especially anything with, like, metal school, because I figure we're doing fucking metal graduate seminars over here, you know? I don't need to be brought to metal school by someone to hear about Kiss or some shit, you know? So anyway, there's a recent... I've looked at the videos a little bit here and there in the past. They're kind of more videos that I've intended to watch than I've actually watched, but it's just a different kind of channel. It seems to be good at what they do, so... It's a bigger channel, but it's not like one of these ones that I kind of have contempt for in the same way as y'all know who they are, right? At least not out of the gate, right? Anyway, there's they did a video which is like five obscure EPs that, you know, people don't know or something that you might want. I don't remember what it's called or something like that. It's like something about 5 obscure metal EPs, and so that's like my bread and butter, right? So I'm like, okay, I've got to see. So the picks were actually interesting and pretty good. So I figured, well, I'll just go ahead and fucking pull those out and, like, sort of reassess them. And the funny thing is, I'm gonna have to leave one off because the most common one on the list is actually the Alien record, and I don't have that. It was some band that was like, they made one EP on like Mongol Horde or something, and well, obviously they did one EP, or else they wouldn't have been in the video that I'm stealing a topic from, right? But anyway, they I really don't know much about them. I've heard that they're good from people who Let's put it this way. There's some people where when they tell you it's good, you're like, yeah, okay. And then there are other people where it's like they tell you it's good, you're like, yeah, okay, I want to hear it then, you know? And it was sort of more like people in the latter category, although never like really compellingly, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I never came away with the idea that, oh, I really need to hear that record. It's more like, oh, maybe I should give that a chance one of these days. So anyway, I never did it. I don't know, maybe I will now, you know what I mean? But the fact is the samples often I've heard seem kind of corny too, so we're just going to stick with the other ones. And maybe I'll probably talk about some other shit too, depending on how long I prattle on for. So this is the first one that was on that list, it's the Avalon record, which I always kind of liked. So this guy right here, there's another version of this too that has a cover with like a robot hand that's like really shitty looking, and yeah, that's like a rarer version, but it actually looks worse, so... Anyway, these guys, like, they have their moments like this, right? This kind of rocks, you know? But there are a lot of kind of wimpy parts, too, like the part you just heard. And there's, like, this long instrumental intro, and just lots of long, like, instrumental stretches on this thing. And then when it's really on, you know, they're not, like, really, like, seriously devoted to metal in the same kind of way as I like. They're kind of more like, you know, Sunset or a band like that, you know, like, yeah, like right there, you know? It's a pretty good hook. I could argue that lead guitar has a little bit of like a new wave of British heavy metal thing going on to it with it a little bit. But it's not an argument I'd buy if you made it to me, you know what I mean? It's like I can see the argument, but I'm not quite there. So, you know, it's an okay record. You know, nothing to be ashamed of here. It's not the sort of thing where I looked at it and went, what a stupid fucking record to suggest to someone coming to this shit new. Now, if you're coming to this kind of shit new, I still wouldn't really recommend this record. I'd actually recommend what was the second one on the list. I might have fucked up the order, but the next one was the Dark Age record. And I'll tell you something, this record is probably cheaper than Avalon, and it is way better. So again, like the fucking metal school guy, you know. Credit where it's due, right? Picking on the banger here. I mean, this one even has good band photos, right? But this one had good enough distribution. Yeah, it was distributed by Green World, even though it's on, like, Gnarly Records or something like that. Actually, I love the catalog number on this. I was going to gloss over it, but... yeah, it's Gnarly Records. But the catalog number is Gnarl. That's awesome. but it still has different colored size labels, like the Green World labels did, if y'all have seen those. Anyway, this record just fucking rocks, man. This is like a legit metal record. Every song on this thing is heavy and rocks. The way the riffs are written in that, there's no sort of like little bit of AOR here. This is all like firmly like committed to metal. Not that this is AOR, because this I wouldn't call this AOR, but you know, it's has some of those leanings. This doesn't have that, right? Metal Axe, Tales of Medusa, Rock Revelation, The Execution / Messenger to Acheron, Warrior, and Viper. It's funny how they say Acheron. I think they spelled that right as Acheron. But anyway, you know, a little misspelling on a metal record cover only ever makes it better, you know. And look at that fucking cover art. Now, I don't know what this thing goes for these days, but the fact is, this was always, for the quality of the record that this is a lot of bang for your buck right here. So if you're, like, new to this kind of shit, to, like, lesser known, like, single EP metal bands, Dark Age is a really good fucking band to go for, So where does that put Metal School? Does that put him 2 for 2, or does it put him 1 for 2? I think it's more like 1.5 for 2, you know what I mean? Because like that key change was kind of corny, you know? It's not like the key change on Kill the King or something like that. I had that song in my head for like 6 days last year. Anyway, next one that was on the list, I couldn't pick a better one. Fucking Hammer Witch. This is one of the greatest fucking things ever. Here, this is over anyway. I'm going to put it on for a minute because I feel like hearing it. Like, I should probably hype the Dark Age more because it's an easier record to find. But Hammer Witch is just so fucking good, dude. This is like everything I just said about the Dark Age, only even a little bit more. You know what I mean? Yeah, what this one has a touch of, though, is that Devil Child record, if you know that one. The one that was on Pentagram Records. It was like, I think it was a fake band, actually. I don't know if Joe Hasselvander was involved in that one, or if it was another one that the Virgin Steel guys were doing, but there was something fake about that. But it's a great record. It's Devil Child with an E. And this thing kind of reminds me of that in places. Like, sort of the combination of sleaziness and dirginess, like right here, isn't something you hear very often, you know what I mean? Usually dirgy like that, they don't mix in the sleazy sound. But these guys don't sound sleazy like glam sleazy, they sound sleazy like, you know. I'm not saying they sound like fucking Poison, you know? Yeah, this is really beefy too. You know, if anyone had ever heard of Hammer Witch before, I think you could argue that they were a proto-doom band. Because this record's like 85 or 86. No, it's 87, so it's a little later than I thought, you know. It's late enough they might have listened to Trouble, maybe even saw them on tour. But I swear to Christ, man, I mean, I've said before that, like, if I hear the metal band is from Texas, like, just based on that, I want to hear what they sound like, right? This is one of the first bands that I think of. I think of, like, Wizard, I think of Militia, I think of these guys. Then I think of Excel, and then, you know, I think of some others, then maybe I think of Pantera, you know? So Arlington, yeah, Dallas. So I know they're somewhere in that area. In my head canon, they're more like Fort Worth guys than Dallas guys. But, you know. Look at this fucking cover art too, man. How about that riff and all those drums in there? It's like they're really going for the brutality, even though they're not necessarily going for the speed and like the growling and the shit like that people associate with it on the surface. They do it with like chunkiness, you know what I'm saying? And the singer's good enough to really deliver, but not so good that he sounds like unapproachable, you know what I mean? This could still be like your friend's band. You'd be like, holy fuck, you know, as opposed to like the... You know, one of the worst things is when your friends are in bands that suck. Like, if you're watching this, you've probably been in a band at some point or other. You probably suck and you probably knew it and you don't care, right? But, like, remember all those times you had friends who were in bands and you, like, wanted to be supportive, but their band sucked and you knew it and, like, it was kind of hard to fake and shit? Dude, I hated that, man. I was in one band that totally sucked, and I just embraced it. I was like, oh yeah, dude, fucking... Yeah. God, I'll never forget this fucking one guy. the guy who was the singer in the band, like at one point, because we sort of had two singers. I was the bass player, I think. But like the guy, like on the back of it, he had a jean jacket on the back in like whiteout or something. He painted real big, "You're all fools, the mob rules," and he spelled "your" Y-O-U-R. "You're all fools, the mob rules." It's like spelled wrong on his jacket in letters like this big. You know, it's one of those things. I mean, it's cringe. You know what I mean? It's like that's why, like, when the Zoomer or maybe the millennials really started, but when the kids start saying cringe, we knew exactly what it meant because that's how that feels. You know what I mean? It's like you feel for them. You don't want to like be a dick to them, but you're just like, oh my god, you're so embarrassed vicariously. So anyway, the next one on the Metal School's list was this fucking Nightmare record, which I kind of feel like I talked about a lot recently, but maybe I just listened to it a lot because I did kind of play it a lot. On this record, you know what this reminds me of more than anything is the Underdog record that was on the Mausoleum label. You know, the one with the really stupid cover with that dog on it, like looking in the car window with the rabies. Rabies in Town by Underdog. I mean, they kind of look like them a little bit in that they sort of look like someone told them what 80s glam was, but all they had was like one T-Rex record. No, actually, it's really not that. Yeah, that would have been funny, but that's not what they look like, man. They look clueless, is what I was trying to say. Yeah, anyway, Blackjack is you know something? It's a ballad, and it kind of sucks by the objective measure, but I kind of love it anyway. This record's a little bit thin sounding, like from the fatness of the sound, this one would be right at home with like a new wave of British heavy metal, but this is later than that. It's like, I want to say 86, maybe? I don't know. You know who the singer reminds me of a little bit, now that I'm thinking about it? It's 86. The singer reminds me a little bit of the guy from Poltergeist. I mean, from Scarab. Excuse me, the single was called Poltergeist, and the B-side was Hell on Wheels. It's a great 45. It's a late new wave one. It's like 84-ish. Listen to this here. Like, I mean, they hit the way he hits the bell of the cymbal there, fucking genius, man. And it's a little thing that make a record great. Anyway, Nightmare fucking rules too, right? It's a little bit on the hard rocky side, a little bit new wavy sounding in like sort of the negative sense, but still a really fun record, man. And it doesn't do the boogie thing really, by the way, that the new wave bands were prone to. So, you know, that's a really fun record, man. All right, so then the last one, that other video, was the Alien one, and I kind of already talked that one to death, I think. But if you have a copy of that record for sale, I do kind of want it. I'll probably get one of Discogs in a few weeks or something when I get around to it. Here's the other one, though, and this is actually another sort of favorite record, man. This is like a bonus single, because this isn't even an EP, but fucking Child Saint is fantastic, you know? And, like, there are all these stories about, like, this relationship they had with Dave Mustaine, because the riff from Child Saint is the same one from... oh, what's that fucking song? I want to say it's Hangar 18, but I'm not even sure what it is. Sam played the record in a while. It's one of the big songs off Rust in Peace, though, is the bottom line. It's funny. I've played this record, like, a lot of times. But Rust in Peace... Actually, I played that kind of a lot, too. But I played that maybe 15 or 20 times. This I probably listened to at least, like, 50. Yeah. Anyway, kind of religious themed, but I'm pretty sure this is not a religious band. They're from Placentia, which I always thought was a funny name for a city in California, but I actually have a friend from there. He's a good friend, actually. He's made stories in other videos, too. But yeah, I Am Future is kind of dirgy and doomy in the way that this sort of is, only it's more like slow and plodding. And then Child Saint kind of keeps that same similar sort of color, but just has a fucking fantastic riff, you know? So I don't know who wrote the riff or what all the deal was with all that, and I don't really care. You know, I definitely don't have any stake in saying, oh, it's a great riff. It must have been because Mustaine wrote it. You know, I have no stake at all in boosting that fucker's ego. But the corollary is these guys just fucking stole the riff outright. I don't really have a problem with that either, really for exactly the same reasons. So, great fucking record, man. It's 2 songs. It used to be extremely rare. It's not as hard to find as it was, but it's still not cheap. But they're like CD things out there, and like I think there's a comp on the way soon, or maybe came out last year or something. You can get this stuff. But Child Saint is fantastic, so I suppose I've got to give the thumbs up to the Metal School on their choices overall. I mean, the fact is that Alien one, a little iffy on, haven't spent any time with it admittedly. Avalon, I think is a good choice, but not a great choice. The other ones are pretty much all great choices. Especially the Dark Age one, because I really think Dark Age kind of suffers a little bit from not being rare enough. You know what I mean? Like, it's absolutely fantastic. I'm just gonna fucking put it on for me because I keep hyping it. It's absolutely fantastic. I mean, top rate, you know, S tier record. But it's hard enough to come by that, like, people aren't necessarily gonna just have it. You know what I mean? People aren't necessarily gonna find it at the shop to say, "Oh, hey, this looks great. Maybe I'll check it out." You know. But then it's among people like me who go and search these fucking things out. Shout out to Let's Talk Metal. This thing, you know, when you see it on every list, you sort of start to go, maybe it's not that great, you know? And so, I don't know, familiarity breeding contempt, maybe? This fucking metal axe we're starting off with here. It's a great record, though. Wasn't that riff? Or that opener, I should say. There. Yeah. Yeah, so, you know, my inclination is to come in here and shit all over a big channel, right? But that's just kind of not how things worked out today, so... yeah, what can I say? I still think it's lame to call your channel anything school, man. It's like, who the fuck do you think you are? You know what I mean? It's like, we're doing this shit for fun. But I don't know, you know, to a certain degree too, being such a big fan, you know, if you're into metal, one thing about metal that's really different now is that the stigma's gone, right? Like in the 80s especially, and the 70s too, though, to the degree that metal was what it came to be, but really, until like the last like 10 years or so, there's a certain sort of stigma associated with metal. It was like, you know, something that stupid people listen to and that sort of thing. And people don't really do that anymore. But sort of the corollary to that I think I probably developed, just being honest. And I would be surprised if there are other people like you're guilty of the same thing. Is that when people come around and they think they know something and they're kind of full of shit, it's really easy to sort of go, yeah, well, fuck you. Who the fuck do you think you are? You know what I mean? Coming in, presuming to walk on my turf, you know? So I don't want to be that way. I mean, unless people deserve it, right? But that is why channels like, you know, Vinylize irk me so much, you know what I mean? That fucking Michael 45 guy, you know? But, yeah, man. Either pay your dues or be cool. Either way. It's fine. Actually, even if you pay your dues, if you really know your shit, you're an asshole. I'm still not gonna want to hang out with you. I'd rather hang out with someone who knows nothing and like not hate them and have to deal with listening to, I don't know, Jackson Browne or Heart records or something than suffer. Anyway, there we go. So some good records. What else going on? I went on a little rainbow kick last week, actually. I pulled all these fuckers out and I like played them like over and over, you know, including the live one. I think it's a really good live record, by the way. It's a really good performance with Dio. It's kind of cool to hear him doing Mistreated. It's really cool if they debuted the song Kill the King on a live record instead of like on a studio record. It's kind of an unusual thing to do, you know. And, you know, it feels like a live set. That's really the thing that makes me like this is a live record. You know, it sort of feels that way. It doesn't feel sort of phony the way, like, I mean, Made in Japan by Deep Purple is a great record, but it doesn't feel like a live record the same way this does. You know what I mean? Anyway, yeah, fucking Rising here too, and this one, but y'all know what these records look like, right? Rainbow is such a great band, though, and it's a band that I sort of like got warmer and colder with over the years. Like when I first got into them, I loved them, and then I kind of thought they were crap for a while, and then I kind of liked them again, sort of, but like then I like forgot about them for a while, and then I rediscovered them, and I was like, been all in, and that was, you know, a while ago now, but still, man. I'm grateful for it now because the even though I've listened to those Rainbow records a lot, I don't have like the heavy duty listening hours in with like a Deep Purple or something like that. So I've still held a little bit of that like really great 70s shit back for myself, you know what I'm saying? Alright, I think we're gonna call it good. Thanks for watching. It's kind of a short one, I guess might have been like 25 minutes to a half hour lately, but I'm out of shit to say, so fuck it. Thanks for watching.